It's a big year for the quarterbacks at the Senior Bowl in a class that doesn't have a defined group at the top. There is opportunity, John, for a quarterback three, for somebody to fight their way into first round consensus. So, although it's overall considered a weaker quarterback class, the Senior Bowl preview episode here might be more important than ever, and we're going to kick it off with a guy everybody's interested in talking about right off the bat. Maybe the guy that most folks think has the best chance to rise up in the NFL draft and fantasy football rankings. And that's the quarterback out of Alabama, Jalen Milroe.
There's no question that Milroe has the opportunity to be very impressive at the Senior Bowl, Matt. We know his athleticism is there. And I do think in one-on-one drills, he's going to hit a complete grand slam. Because I can make the argument that he is the most athletically talented quarterback at the class here. In the past 5 years, 3 Alabama quarterbacks have been selected in the first round of the draft. Tua Tagovailoa in 2020, Mac Jones in 2021, and Bryce Young in 2023. Jalen Milroe replaced Bryce Young 2 years ago, and he has led Alabama and the Crimson Tide during the last 2 seasons, Matt. What's pretty impressive is he has played under legendary coach Nick Saban in 2023 as the starter, and one of the best offensive minds in college football now, Kalen DeBoer, in 2024. So he's definitely got some pretty good tutoring and some pretty good background there for what he can do. And I think it's important to look at both of the past 2 seasons when you're analyzing Milroe. In 2023, he earned second-team All-SEC, Matt, and concluded the season 5th in the FBS in passer efficiency at 172.2. He was actually really good 2 years ago. He connected on nearly 66% of his throws for 2,834 yards and 23 touchdowns with only 6 INTs. He rushed 161 times for 531 yards and 12 scores. And Matt, remember when he had that weird benching like week 4 of the season? I think they had Ty Simpson came in. Buckner, yeah. And he took the benching well. He came back and he really performed incredible after the benching. So I really like that in his mental makeup and how he bounced back. Last year, I had high hopes of DeBoer coming over to Alabama, but Milroe's efficiency dipped a little bit to 148.8 passer rating. He did total 2,844 yards and 16 touchdowns in the year. But he embraced a much bigger role on the ground for Alabama. Anyone who saw Alabama this year, Matt, they were not very good running the football. He gained 726 yards rushing and 20 touchdowns. Matt, I think he's a better passer than most people give him credit for. I know he can be inaccurate at times, but the athleticism is there, and teams are looking for that dual threat quarterback. Someone might fall in love with him. What's your film breakdown say?
Yeah, and fantasy football managers are looking for that dual threat upside, right? And, quite frankly, if you're taking a shot on a guy who's going to go day 2, 3rd, 4th round in your fantasy football drafts, you understand chasing upside, and you definitely are doing that when you're drafting Milroe, right? Because if you look at the tape, he's an explosive runner. He's a dynamic athlete. I mean, we're talking about somebody who is an absolute threat with his legs. He's slippery through gaps. He's got good field vision. I think what you need to understand about Milroe is up until this season, his tendency, anytime he felt pressure, and this even extended into this season, but is to scramble, is to run. So he's a very comfortable runner. He looks to run quickly. Now, with his arm, you mentioned it, he can push the ball downfield. He's got good zip on his ball through the midfield. I thought he got more comfortable this year standing in the pocket and throwing downfield. Still not very comfortable, but definitely an improvement from 2023. What he needs to work on, right? You're saying, oh, he's an explosive athlete. He's got upside. That's exciting. Okay, well, why isn't he a first-round pick? He's got a very weak feel for pressure. I mentioned it. He takes off quickly. He is not keeping his eyes downfield when he's scrambling. But, John, in a very odd paradox, he does not have escapability. It's so frustrating, right? So if he doesn't book it right away, he gets trapped in the pocket. He takes bad sacks. He doesn't throw the ball away. It's very odd. And then you're going to match that with some pretty raw mechanics, right? I mean, the footwork's inconsistent. The release is inconsistent. He's got a little bit of a hitch at the top of it, of that throwing motion. Accuracy is definitely inconsistent. Does not have a good touch on the ball. Does not lead his receivers well. If you put together the Jalen Milroe highlight clip, you can make an argument for everything, right? But it's the consistency that's a problem for him. So that's what you're looking at there. You said you're looking at making an investment. You're looking at upside there. That's the way to go with Jalen Milroe. By the way, a really good investment, John, with a lot of upside is heading over to patreon.com/rookiebigboard and checking out our full rookie rankings, including over 68 rookie profile articles, in-depth, proven accurate rookie rankings, dynasty rankings, Devy rankings, personalized advice in the Rookie Big Board Discord, access to the 2025 rookie guide, one-on-one draft consultation calls, so much good stuff available over at patreon.com/rookiebigboard. The link to join the community will be in the episode description. All right, John, let's head up north here. We're going to Canadian college football to talk about the late addition to the Senior Bowl, and that is Taylor Elgersma out of Laurier University, the Golden Eagles in Canada. He showed out in the Tropic Bowl, a smaller known showcase, but it got NFL scouts buzzing. He got the late call-up. We did some research. We did some digging. What do you got here on the 6'6" quarterback?
I got to be honest with all the viewers. We just found out that Taylor Elgersma is showing up in Mobile, I think 2 days ago. So immediately I had to scramble and do some research on this young man. And luckily the website for Laurier, the Canadian school, has some information for us. If you look, he's played 39 games at college level. I like that. Yards per attempt, Matt, are impressive at 9.5. And the clips that I saw, I really do believe he has really nice arm strength deep down the field. His touchdown interception ratio is really nice at 76-28. He has some rushing upside, 572 career rushing yards and 18 touchdowns. Matt, the size, 6'6", 212 pounds. He is a big boy. He basically won the Heisman for Canada last year, the Heck Crichton Award. And the numbers he put up were silly. 4,000 yards passing, 40 touchdowns, and he completed 73% of his passes. Matt, if the NFL scouts are telling me that he deserves a spot in Mobile, I'm looking forward to this young man in the drills. Remember we got Taylor Badgett a couple years ago when he started for Chicago 2 years ago? A bunch of games, like 4 or 5 games at least. So what do you think when you were able to break down a little bit of his film?
Yeah, you're definitely getting some Bajan vibes here. I will again say, we got access to a lot of film here. We don't get much Canadian football film. So I'm going to go off of some highlights I saw. We usually don't do that. We go deep. Every other prospect we're talking about here, we're doing full film evals, but I'm working with what I got on the Canadian football prospect. The arm talent is evident. He's got a big arm. He can push the ball downfield. You'll also see some really good examples of him leading receivers well downfield. So not just a big arm, but some good accuracy to match that. Good zip through tight windows. And overall, I'd say he seems poised in the pocket under pressure. I wouldn't call him a mobile athlete, but for a guy who's 6'6", he does look to have some good footwork. He does look to have some ability to extend the pocket, some mobility. So there's certainly enough there to pay attention. I'm not going to sit here and say that he's going to go into Mobile as, a sneaky sleeper for me. There's definitely other quarterbacks that I'm more interested in, but that's the whole point, John. Maybe he leaves Mobile with more of a momentum and some legitimate NFL draft capital projection. But let's go ahead. Let's move on to a more well-known prospect, and that is Tyler Shough out of Louisville. He was a high-profile recruit to Oregon, spent some time at Texas Tech, but really put it all together in his final campaign for the Cardinals.
Matt, believe it or not, I drafted him in a college dynasty league, like in the summer of 2018. That's how long this young man has been on a college campus. He was a 4-star recruit in high school, and he was one of the top quarterback prospects in the nation. As you mentioned, he signed with Oregon, and he played 3 seasons in Eugene from 2018 to 2020. And as a Duck, he had a lot of injuries, and he didn't play in as many games as I had hoped, just as someone on a dynasty roster. He only had 1,703 yards passing and 16 touchdowns. Afterwards, in 2021, he decides to transfer to Texas Tech. And once again, I was really excited because the Red Raiders have an exciting passing game and offense down there. He suited up for 3 campaigns from 21 to 2023. He totaled 2,922 passing yards and 20 touchdowns. With 1 year of eligibility as a redshirt senior, he moved over to Louisville. And in 2024, Matt, he passed for career best of 3,195 yards and 23 touchdowns. It was the first time that he had ever started over 10 games in a season with 733 career rushing yards and 11 touchdowns. My model says he's interesting. Draft capital is going to mean a lot ultimately on what the NFL thinks of him. What do you think when you saw the film and the tape, Matt?
I got to tell you, I was really impressed with his tape. Shough for me, I think he's going day 3. You talked about the injuries, just kind of looking at the draft class, needs overall, but he's somebody who I'm going to be looking to get some good exposure to later in Superflex draft. So why? He's got good arm strength. He fires the ball on a rope through the midfield. He can push the ball 45, 50 yards downfield with moderate effort. I really like his release. He's got a quick release, and he's got a lot of release points. All right. So he's able to get the ball over the top, but he's able to work different angles for his release point, and he's accurate adjusting those angles. That's the key. He's a creative improviser, 6'5", 225. He's comfortable when the pocket breaks down. He's comfortable under pressure. He's comfortable scrambling, but he keeps his eyes downfield. That's huge for me. I love when a scrambling quarterback keeps his eyes downfield. He's looking to throw even when he's extending the play. And he's a gunslinger, John. I use that term to define quarterbacks that, it could be a good or a bad thing. I think he plays the line well. He's aggressive. He will fit the ball into tight windows, but he's not reckless with the ball. He doesn't put in unnecessarily dangerous situations here. He had a huge final campaign with Louisville. Although he's had an extensive injury history, it's not a situation where it's 3 ACLs or something like that, right? It's kind of a lot of one-offs. I don't think there's going to be lingering issues with it. He's a really sneaky sleeper for me. And John, before we get into the next guy, I just want to encourage folks, please, if this video helps you at all learn even one thing new about this 2025 rookie class, do us a huge favor. Take a second, give the video a like, and make sure you comment. Let us know who you're excited about from this group. This quarterback group is definitely a pick your flavor type situation. So we would love to hear what our viewers and listeners love. Who is your flavor? Who's your guy that you're in on? And John, I'm taking a total guess. We haven't compared notes, but I know you watch a lot of non-Power 4 football, and I think this next guy might be up your alley.
I was so excited when he got the invite. It was a little late in the process. And I watched Seth Hennigan a ton at Memphis. And when I plugged the numbers in December, he definitely looked nice in my model, Matt. However, it is against the G5 competition. So overall, I have like a mental note and I deducted my final grade for the level of competition. But if you look at the raw numbers, Hennigan meets 4 of my 5 key benchmarks. He was a 3-star recruit in high school, and he played for his father. But this is what I like a ton. He immediately started as a true freshman in 2021. Coming over and playing quarterback, Matt, I don't care what level it is. You're going from high school to a college campus with classes, with a new locker room, and you're playing with some men who are 20 or 22, right? That's a big jump in competition. Every season on campus, Matt, for 4 years, he passed for over 3,300 yards and 22 touchdowns. When I break down the tape, I call him Mr. Consistent. Matt, he's really consistent in a game-by-game basis, year-by-year basis. Seth Hennigan, you know what you're going to get, and I think coaches are going to like that. Long list of accolades, Matt. 2021, Football Writers of America All-American Freshman Team. AAC All-Academic Team, 21 and 22. First Responder Bowl MVP in 22. Liberty Bowl MVP 2023. Second team All-AAC in 2023. Third team All-ACC last year. His best season came 2 years ago. 3,883 passing yards, 32 touchdowns, Matt. And his career, he has some rushing utility. 898 rushing yards and 10 touchdowns. Sometimes I'm a little worried he might be a little bit Kellen Moore-ish. If you remember watching Kellen Moore out of Boise State, I really want to see his arm strength against the big boys, and I want to hear reports. How does he interact with all of these other, really big program Power 4 quarterbacks? But I do feel pretty good that this young man can be a backup in the NFL and could be a very important spot starter. What do you say, Matt?
Yeah, I think that's a good read on Hennigan. I think he's somebody who you trust to lead your offense. He's a game manager, but not in the bad sense of the word, right? So he's got good accuracy through the short field, through the midfield, really consistent. I'm glad you used that word because that definitely pops off of his film evaluation. I like the way he protects the ball. He keeps it away from defenders. He does not put the ball in harm's way, and that decision-making will go far with NFL evaluators. Memphis, you mentioned it is Power 4, but you do have some examples. I got the Florida State tape as part of my film evaluation. He played well in that game. I like Hennigan's ability to work through his progression. He's able to work into the second read, past the second read. So he's got better progressions than some of the bigger name guys. He's got nice touch. I think he leads his receivers well downfield. And he's got some mobility. He's got some ability to scramble. He feels pressure very well, and he's got escapability from the pocket. So I do think he's a day 3 guy, probably somebody who goes round 5, round 6. But if you need him to run an offense, I think he's going to have the ability to do that. And we have seen plenty of examples, John, in recent memory of guys going day 3, getting their shot, and for either shorter or longer periods of time, being able to manage an offense well. And I think Seth Hennigan absolutely has the ability to be the next guy to do that. So let's go ahead. Let's move on to probably one of the biggest names, outside of Jalen Milroe. I think a lot of folks tuned in to hear our thoughts on Jaxson Dart. That's somebody a lot of folks are enamored with in this draft class coming out of Ole Miss.
Matt, I have waited a long time to talk about Jaxson Dart of Mississippi. The cat is out of the bag from my end. I finally published my Scouting the Signal Callers for the 12th year in a row, and in my written profiles, I broke down Dart, and he is my number 2 quarterback in this class. That's how much I like him. I knew the numbers were good. I waited till the bowl game, and I plugged them into my model. Matt, all 5 key benchmark statistics Jaxson Dart hit. That is amazing. Here are the 5 players who have hit the benchmarks in my model: Caleb Williams, Trevor Lawrence, Baker Mayfield, Marcus Mariota, and Jalen Hurts. 4 of the 5 were first-round picks, and Jalen Hurts should have been, but he was a second-round pick. And you know, Matt, I was high on Jalen Hurts. Also, we can debate about PFF if you love them or not, and that's a fair argument. But I do like to see what they think. Jaxson Dart was their second highest graded quarterback this year at 92.3, everyone. I'm not the only one. And that's fair. And there are some things I don't like on film, and I'm sure Matt's going to talk about that too, because there are some holes in his game. But this young man was a 4-star recruit, Gatorade National Player of the Year as a high school senior in 2020. He signs with USC. He enrolled early, and he played as a true freshman in 2021. He appeared in 6 games, starting 3. It's not like he was a rock star, but he did get on the field at a Power 4 program. Then the Trojans hired Lincoln Riley, and Dart decided to transfer to Mississippi and compete in the SEC with Lane Kiffin as his coach. In 2022, Matt, he was incredible as a true sophomore. Almost 63% of his passes were completed for 2,974 yards and 20 aerial strikes. He gained 614 yards rushing with the score, Matt. As a junior, he was named All-SEC Honorable Mention. He was a semifinalist for the Davy Bryan Award. He led the Rebels to their first ever 11-win season. And he ended the year with 3,364 passing yards and a 23-5 touchdown to interception ratio. Last year, Matt earned first team All-SEC and honorable mention All-America. He posted his only 4,000-yard campaign. He logged a 29-6 touchdown to interception ratio, and he scrambled for 485 yards and 3 touchdowns. Matt, there are 2 throws that I think he makes as well as anyone. Matt, I love his competitive toughness. I love his leadership. What do you like or don't like about Jaxson Dart?
Yeah, I love this. We got a good disagreement on this one. And there are a lot of folks excited about Jaxson Dart. I certainly think if you're looking at the analytical profile, you're going to be more excited about him. There's certainly things to like, right? He's a creative improviser. You will see Dart wins off script often at Ole Miss. He's got good zip, good velocity through the midfield, and he's a mobile passer. He extends the play well with his legs. He's a physical runner. He's a gamer. He's got that competitive edge, the Lane Kiffin attitude. You could see that through Jaxson Dart, and he's done a good job leading the Ole Miss offense. The thing about it is, you mentioned he's got a long level of experience for being a starter, but he still is very raw. So it's really paradoxical in that sense. And what you have to understand, and I'm not knocking Lane Kiffin for this, he doesn't develop NFL quarterbacks, right? He has quarterbacks that are able to win at the college level, and he's done a good job doing that. But you look at Jaxson Dart, he's still very raw. He's got raw footwork. It's inconsistent. His mechanics are wonky. He's got a wonky release, inconsistent throwing motion. He's off platform a lot when he finishes through his passes. He struggles with processing. That should be your biggest red flag watching Jaxson Dart. Really has trouble getting into his second read. He'll lock into the first read often. Pre-snap reads, he'll lock into that. And again, that is due to scheme, right? That's what the Lane Kiffin scheme calls for. He wants you to throw the ball 40 times a game. He needs you to get that ball out quick. But you'll see Jaxson Dart, he puts the ball in harm's way. He makes poor decisions too often. He forces the ball into tight coverage. And so this is a guy who I think is going to need at least a full season of sitting and developing at the NFL level. A lot of folks expect him to go day 2. I have a day 3 projection on Jaxson Dart. The thing you have to understand is the NFL is not a developmental league, right? So with Jaxson Dart or with any quarterback that you're investing in, if you feel that they're developmental, you have to really believe in the coaching staff they've landed in. So Jaxson Dart, he's pretty far down my rankings. I don't think you're on the island, John, having him that high up. And I think he's going to have an ADP in the 3rd round of rookie drafts. I think people are going to buy into the appeal. I just don't expect personally that I'm going to have much exposure on him. Somebody else who has definitely gotten a lot of national exposure, playing in the national spotlight, especially towards the conclusion of the college football season, is Notre Dame quarterback Riley Leonard.
I'm really hoping this young man gets an opportunity. But in my analysis and watching a lot of Riley Leonard over the last 3 years, I think he's a better runner than thrower. And that doesn't usually bode well for long-term NFL success. In high school, he was a 3-star prospect and the number 20 dual-threat quarterback in the nation. He saw limited action as a true freshman with 1 start in 7 games. But as a sophomore in 2022, he produced his best season as a Blue Devil. He passed for 2,967 yards, and he logged the 20-6 touchdown interception ratio. More importantly, he rushed for 699 yards and 13 scores. Honorable mention, all ACC, academic all ACC. I was all in on his college fantasy football. I thought he was going to be a grand slam, but he tailed off with injuries the following season, and he played in only 7 games. But he transfers to Notre Dame, and he replaces Sam Hartman last year. And Matt, what can I say? He had from a football standpoint, he had an unbelievable season. He guided the Fighting Irish to a 14-2 record, and he was a national championship game before losing to Ohio State. He rushed for a career best 906 yards and 17 touchdowns. Now, it was a little inflated playing 16 games with the playoffs and all. He passed for 2,861 yards and a career-high 21 touchdowns. When I look at him in my model and looking at him on film, he doesn't look like a every down passer with, can he start 16 games for you in a row throwing the football? I don't necessarily think so. Hey, I hope he goes to Mobile and he shows us more arm strength and passing acumen than he has on film so far. Matt, what do you say when you look at him?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good read on Riley Leonard. Day 3 projection for me. He's an athletic runner. He's good off script. When he's got the ball in his hands, he's got good field vision. You definitely see some solid bursts from him. As a runner, he's physical. He's got a little bit of shake for somebody who's 6'4". So he's got some elusiveness. He's got good contact balance as well. And you'll see, the Notre Dame offense, they were looking for him to run the ball, right? That was a big piece of that offense. He's got a short release when he's passing the ball, inconsistent footwork, really limited arm strength. We're talking, it's a little bit of a chore to get it past 30 yards downfield. I think the game's going to feel fast for him at the next level. This is not the type of guy who I would be looking to have exposure to even late in my rookie drafts. Some of the other guys we've talked about here, like a Tyler Shough, I'm much more interested in gaining exposure to. And let's finish up with the last guy, certainly not the least. I am very interested in Dillon Gabriel, the quarterback out of Oregon. I'm excited to get into this one to finish up the episode.
Oh, I am too. And I think he's going to have a nice NFL career. I do. I think he's going to play in the NFL for a real long time. And I do think he's going to have an opportunity. And I think he's going to be able to grab that opportunity when it's given to him. Matt, he's one of the most accomplished college quarterbacks in the history of the game. His resume is unbelievable. He started more games, 64, than any signal caller in the history of the game, breaking Bo Nix's record, who just said it last year. In 6 college campaigns, he played for 3 schools, and he passed for over 3,000 yards in a season for each program. He established a new FBS record for career touchdowns with 155 and finished second in career passing yards with 18,722. That's unbelievable, Matt, how often he's thrown the ball at the collegiate level. He's rushed for 1,209 yards, and he scored 33 times on the ground. I've actually gone back and watched 2 games at UCF and Oklahoma within the last week. And you go back as a true freshman for the Knights, he started 12 games and was named second team All-AAC. He completed nearly 60% of his throws for 3,653 yards, which was a UCF freshman record, and 29 touchdowns with only 7 interceptions. Matt, this is a trend throughout his career. He's really good with the football. He's smart with the football. After 3 years in Orlando, he packed his bags and he moved to Norman, Oklahoma to sling the pigskin for the Sooners. In 2 campaigns, he passed for 6,826 yards and recorded a 55-12 touchdown to interception ratio. In 2022, he earned the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year. In 2023, he was named to first team All Big 12. He decides to take his bags and go one more season in college, and he went north to Eugene, Oregon. He guided the Ducks to an undefeated record in Big Ten championship before losing to Ohio State in the CFP quarterfinals and the Rose Bowl. He connected on a career-best 72.9% of his passes for 3,857 yards and 30 touchdowns. He added 149 yards rushing and 7 touchdowns on the ground. He was named the Graham George Offensive Player of the Year and first team All Big Ten. Matt, he joins Jaxson Dart. He surpassed all 5 benchmarks in my passing model. The only obvious thing is going to come up, he's undersized. He's listed at 6'0". We'll see at the combine or at the Senior Bowl what he stands. But Matt, he finds throwing lanes. And you mentioned Milroe bothered you with not having slip and slide and pocket mastery. I think Dillon Gabriel's unbelievable in the pocket, Matt. He's got that spidey sense of when pressure's coming around him. I really like him. I have a second round grade. I don't think he will go in the second round. What do you say, Matt?
Yeah, as a quarterback, as a passer, Dillon Gabriel is excellent. And you can make the argument that he is the best passer in this class, right? The size, let's get it out of the way. I'm going to list all of his weaknesses. All right, he's small. There we go. Weaknesses out of the way. Here are his strengths. He's got great footwork. He's light on his feet in the pocket. He's got quick release, excellent release. He's got a really clean, consistent throwing motion. He's got excellent pocket presence. You alluded to it. He feels pressure well. He's got good mobility within the pocket. He's able to step up and through the pocket. He does not take sacks. He's poised under pressure. He stands tall in the pocket. He's willing to throw the ball while taking a hit, throw the ball with the defender in his face. It does not adjust his accuracy. He's got great processing. You see him work through his reads. Excellent decision-making, rarely puts the ball into harm's way. Great touchdown to interception ratio. He's got good accuracy. He puts the ball on point, leads his receivers well. And by the way, when he's running, he's got good burst. He has the ability to move the pocket, but when he's scrambling, he's looking to extend the play. He keeps his eyes upfield. Dillon Gabriel does a lot well. If you go back to his 2023 tape, you'll see a lot of balls getting batted down at the line of scrimmage, kind of a fatal flaw of being a shorter quarterback. He was able to find those angles and those lanes a lot better in 2024. Not a lot of batted balls for him this season. Now, it would be a little limiting, a little short-sighted to say we can just totally look past the height and totally look past the size, right? It is a factor. It's a legitimate concern, but his upside, his polish, everything about him as a passer really does, counterweight that. And I'll tell you what, John, there's something to say about Bo Nix coming in this season and making an instant impact for the Denver Broncos. And I think part of that is all of that experience. Fantasy football managers, there's this narrative lingering around for a while now. Experience is bad. Waiting until you're older to declare is bad. Well, guess what? At the quarterback position right now, look at Bo Nix and his experience. Compare that to Anthony Richardson's journey, declaring when he was 20, Sam Darnold declaring when he was 19, right? That experience is really paying off into quick NFL translation, and Dillon Gabriel can benefit from a little bit of that as well. So he's somebody that I'm definitely looking to get exposure to in the later rounds of my fantasy football drafts, despite the size limitations. And that is our full Senior Bowl quarterback roster here, full breakdown for you. Leave us a comment. Let us know which of these guys you're most excited to see in Mobile. And again, folks, if you want access to in-depth rookie rankings, nobody's going deeper. Over 68 rookie profile articles already posted on the patron-only website. Personalized access in the Discord, one-on-one draft consultation calls, 2025 rookie guide, all available for just $5. Check out the link in the episode description. And we appreciate you checking out this episode of The Rookie Big Board.